welcome to another edition of To the Point. Today is a very special show called Facial Acupuncture, Keeping Up with the Trends. And we've assembled three prominent teachers of cosmetic facial acupuncture, as well as myself, teaching the subject. And we're going to introduce you to the different styles, how people got started, and hopefully they'll give some clinical tips. So starting first with Michelle Gellis. Michelle, would you tell them about yourself, please? And
Hi.
your work.
Hi. Thank you, Virginia. I am very honored to be participating with this panel of experts. You were actually my first teacher, and you definitely inspired my love of cosmetic acupuncture. A little bit about me. I've been teaching at the Maryland University of Integrative Health since 2004, and used to be the Thai Sophia Institute. And I started getting interested in cosmetic acupuncture while I was still a student. And MUIH is a 5-element school, teaches mainly Worsley classic 5-element acupuncture. And some of the classes that I've taught at school have been point location. I'm on an oral exam committee. I've taught diagnosis, and I also have supervised in clinic. I've been published twice in the Journal of Chinese Medicine. I wrote an article on treating neuromuscular facial conditions using a multifaceted approach. I also wrote an article on the importance of clearing blocks from a 5-element perspective prior to doing cosmetic acupuncture treatments, and also the connection of the face and the body and the emotions, because 5-element acupuncture is all about the emotions. So I started early on while I was still a student studying, and then continued my education, learning as much as I could about cosmetic acupuncture and kind of synthesizing what I knew about 5-element acupuncture and my diagnostic tools. And I also had a strong background in scalp acupuncture, so I incorporated some of that in with what I was doing with my patients. And back then, there were not a lot of people practicing cosmetic acupuncture. Most people hadn't heard about it. And my students at school kept coming to me because they knew I knew 5-element acupuncture. I'm sorry, that I knew cosmetic acupuncture. So they wanted to learn from me. And over the course of about a year or so, I started to teach small groups of my students. And then over the past 10 years or so, the classes have grown, and now I teach all over the country. And I really feel that the size of my classes have grown, and I believe it's due to the popularity of cosmetic acupuncture, which is due largely in part to a lot of celebrities have been getting cosmetic acupuncture. And with social media and all the pictures going around, students, both acupuncturists who are new to the profession and people who are looking to just add something on to their practice, have really been very interested in learning cosmetic acupuncture. And plus, it's cash business. You can't take insurance when you're doing cosmetic acupuncture. Insurance won't pay for it. And so this kind of adds to the cash side of our practice. Additionally, I've seen over the past 5 years or so, there's been a real backlash on a lot of the botox and the fillers and some of the things people are doing to their faces. People are starting to look a little weird, and their lips, their cheeks. Women are starting to look like Cabbage Patch dolls because their cheeks are so overfilled and their lips are, well, you don't even know what's going on with their lips. They just look so strange. So men and women are looking for a more natural approach. So when I teach, my goals are to use like a comprehensive method that students can learn in 1 3-day class. There's no additional training required. I do have other skills that I don't include in class, but I have some of those on YouTube and in other little videos. But I use, because I'm a 5-element acupuncturist, I use as few needles as possible, but I do include body points, face points, intradermal needles, some scalp acupuncture, threading under the muscles, and I use submuscular needling, which is really great for some of the muscle groups on the face. And the last day of class is all facial cupping, gua sha, and microneedling using a derma roller. What really makes my classes unique, I think, is because of my training as a 5-element acupuncture, I also teach clearing entry-exit blocks on the face, treating other types of blocks such as aggressive energy, husband-wife imbalances, other things that I touch on during class. And this really creates like a multifaceted approach to cosmetic acupuncture. The one thing Alan had asked that we include a little gem. One thing that I really love doing is working with gua sha on the back of the neck, down the trapezius muscles, because especially with everyone texting nowadays, everything that goes on here affects your temporalis. It affects everything on the scalp, which in turn attaches to your head and your face and can really constrict your face. So really opening up through gua sha, the back of the neck, can really help the face. So my classes carry 21 NCCAOM, Florida, and California CEUs. Some of my classes are available as recorded webinars. And my 2019 schedule's on my website. It is facialacupunctureclasses.com. I also have a YouTube channel, which is Facial Acupuncture Classes Videos. And I'm on, I have a Facebook group and Instagram. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn. And I really feel that incorporating cosmetic acupuncture into practice is a great way to step away from treating pain and other things that we do all day long. And it's nice, you get to sit down, and it's very relaxing and enjoyable for the patients. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thanks, Michelle. Next, we have Shelley Goldstein, live from New York City.
Hi, live from New York City. So, thank you, Michelle. It's lovely to hear about you. We haven't met. I know Mary Elizabeth in Virginia, so it's a pleasure to meet you as well. I think that I started in 1991, and at that time, the acupuncture was regulated state by state, and in the state of New York, we were one of the first states to regulate acupuncture. And unfortunately for me, 6 days before I graduated from acupuncture school, there was a freeze on all licensure of acupuncturists for a year and a half. So, you get what you need in life. And I ended up studying herbal medicine and went to China. And in China, I got put in the facial paralysis unit, which was enlightening. And little did I know that when I came back and got my license, that almost immediately, because of my training, people would ask me if I could treat their face. So, having also grown up with a mother who was very into her appearance and being the oldest daughter, getting it passed down, this was a natural for me. And in my practice, which has been going on again for quite a while, I think what is my strength is my clinical skills. In New York, there is so much opportunity for everything that if you can't make it, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. And it's difficult to make it. So you basically get 2 tries. If it doesn't work, they'll move on to somebody else. So I've had to really hone in on my skills and perfect them. And 26 years later, I'm now teaching it to postgraduate acupuncture students in the form of online distance learning courses, videos, live programs, and you can check out my website. It's hamptonsacupuncture.com. But I think what I've discovered from my clinical experience is the importance of 2 things. One, like Michelle said, is treating the neck to treat the rest of the body, because the head is attached to the neck is attached to your shoulders, and then the rest of your body. So you really need to focus on not just the face, but treat the neck, because if the muscles of the neck are too tight, they're going to pull on all of the muscles of the face. Muscles of the face are different than the rest of the body. Muscles of the face are attached from bone to muscle, and muscle to skin. So when you move a muscle of the face, you're moving not a bone, but you're actually moving other muscles and the skin. And so in order to get effects, or the good effects and fast effects from your treatments, you need to include everything. You need to treat the neck, you need to treat the face, and start with the bigger muscles, get to the smaller muscles. That being said, you also really need to listen to the needs of your patients, because if your patient comes in and the only thing they're focused on are the corrugator creases, and you see jawline, if you don't treat their corrugators, they're going to look in the mirror every single time and they're going to think that you failed. That's not the truth. It's just a matter of education, and educating your patient is so important. And in my classes, we do a lot of educating, a lot of looking at the face. What do you see? How do you make the changes? How do you make the appropriate changes? Also in my classes, I teach a lot of anatomy. I teach anatomy, physiology of the face. I have a Western medical background. Prior to acupuncture school, I worked at the New York University Hospital and did a lot of research with cell biology. And so I am very familiar with the anatomy of the face, and we teach that as well. And another thing that I think is really important is remembering your patients, because yes, it's a lot of fun, and you're not treating cancer, you're not treating pain, you are treating beauty, but just remember that most of the people that come in, they're there for a reason. And for me, the reason is it's so important to understand that our patients are coming to us for beauty for one of 2 reasons. Either they have a healthy self-esteem or healthy attitude about themselves, and they just want to look and feel their best, which is fine, or they're concerned about using neuroinhibitors like botox or Desport. They don't want to do any type of invasive surgery or something like that, so they're turning to something alternative. Or their self-esteem is so bad that they can't stand aging. They come to us when they are at the point where they look in the mirror and they don't recognize who they are in their youthful years. And that can be terrifying for someone. So we are not only just treating their face, but we're treating their self-esteem. We're helping them really feel better about themselves. And that's the beauty of acupuncture. When you can incorporate acupuncture to help someone feel better about themselves, because we know as acupuncturists, acupuncture treats the physical level, it treats the emotional level, it treats the spiritual level. So when you make them look good, you make them feel good as well. And when someone feels good about themselves, they actually look better. So we're treating them from the inside out and the outside in. And honestly, to me, that is the most rewarding thing of all, is to really help someone feel good about themselves, look good, and change them from a place of feeling terrible about themselves, feeling terrible about their self-esteem, to feeling proud of who they are, to feeling good, looking good, and walking out into the world a different person. In my last class, I teach a 100-hour training program. And in the last class, we have them do follow a case study. So they're required to present a case study of people that they've treated for 10 consecutive treatments. And it's part of the learning curve. It's how you begin to integrate the knowledge that you've gained in the classes and actually get out there and use them, as opposed to just taking notes. And the before and after pictures were absolutely amazing. And in particular, this one woman, when her before picture came on, she was pulled in, drawn in, so sad, dull eyes. And then after the 10th treatment, she was proud and bright and strong. And that to me is healing people from the inside out, really helping them to not just look better, but feel better. And I can't emphasize that enough. I just want to say one more thing about the 100-hour course. Everyone here in this panel today are great acupuncturists. We are the founders, we are the originators. Virginia, you were one of the first people to get out there and teach. And then Mary Elizabeth, you've been a rock in terms of being a teacher. And I started as more of a clinician, but now I'm a good teacher. So one of the purposes of my 100-hour program is actually to bring leaders in the field to the students. So for example, in the first one, which was the last one, Virginia taught, Mary Elizabeth taught, Michelle, we'll have to have you come in and teach as well. But I wanted to give the students the opportunity to learn from everybody, because ultimately we each took what we had, took the information that we had and created something. And what I really want to do is empower the next generation of acupuncturists to learn as much as they can from as many different people, and then integrate it into their own style. And then maybe one day we can be their students, because we're not here forever. And honestly, we want to take what we have, pass it on, give it to the students, help them to grow, train them, mentor them, so that they can be the best acupuncturists that they can be, particularly with the facial acupuncture perspective, because we're on the line as facial acupuncturists. There's a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of fillers. Acupuncture, facial acupuncture is not new. It's been around, but it's still on the line and it's still being tested. So as a practitioner and as an educator, I would like to give the students the best education that they can possibly have. So then they go out there and actually treat people. They get good results, and good results is what's going to keep our profession alive and keep our profession growing, strong, and empowered. So that's what I have to say. And go out there, everyone, and learn from everybody, learn from all of us, do them as much as you can, create your own style and go forward. I will be so proud of you.
Oh, thanks. And Mary Elizabeth also joining us from Manhattan.
Yes, hi. It's Mary Elizabeth, and just a minute. I want to get Michael. Can you get this? Put me on the screen here. Hang on a minute. I just wanted to say, Shelley, what an impassioned talk. Virginia, thank you for hosting this very much, and Michelle, thank you for being here, and you and I have both worked with Shelley in this certificate program. Do I get my picture? Anyway, we're trying to get my picture up here, but it doesn't seem to be. Do people see me or Virginia?
You.
See you.
See me. Okay, good. Great, 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 great. Shelley, what an impassioned speech. And I appreciate that. I do agree that we all, the advanced facial acupuncturists, and that we need to give back to the next generation and train them and learn from them. And it was an amazing experience. It has been working with you, with these students. They're unbelievable, very exciting. And I also am an excited teacher. I just wanted to give you a little example. For instance, years ago, in the beginning, I remember that I was asked by Marilyn Allen, God bless her, to treat the lawyer Michael Schroeder for AAC. This is an AAC story years ago at a CSOMA symposium, and she had the idea, look, let's get facial acupuncture by the AAC insured at no extra cost. And that I felt was a great contribution to students, to people, to be able to come out of the closet, so to speak, and say, I'm doing facial acupuncture, and now I am going to go out there and be insured by the AAC. My background is varied. I started out as a musician. I am a professional opera singer, and I have studied shiatsu, craniosacral work with Dr. Upledger. I've done a lot with massage. I went to Big Sur, studied massage out in the Pacific Ocean. And so I'm a very hands-on girl. I really appreciate the fact that we, three of us at least have studied Japanese acupuncture quite a bit. I still have a practice, and I enjoy working with my patients on every level. I also teach at a lot of symposiums around the world. We were just in Holland teaching and in New Zealand teaching. I also synergize modalities. I combine facial acupuncture with sound and vibrational work. So we work with the Accutonics tuning forks. There are 5 levels of training that we have put together, my partner and I, Michelangelo, and I synergize that with acupuncture, with or without. Acupuncture-wise, I do a lot of facial acupuncture. It's mainly what I do, but for me, the excitement is the transformational aspect of facial acupuncture. As a singer and an artist, I remember being on the stage and realizing how important the face is. Here we're facing each other, seeing more than maybe we'd like to in the face. We're still here. The whole idea of the transformative level comes from the emotions. Michelle spoke about that. The face is the most emotive part of the body, and all of the emotions, the lines and wrinkles, are connected to emotions. It's very important not to Botox this, not to freeze these facial wrinkles and lines. And I agree with you. You see all sorts of strange people walking around. They look like they're in a force 2 gale, right? With the chiclet cheeks and the mouth. There is a alternative to that. There is a complementary way of dealing with that. I also have written a book, Constitution of Facial Acupuncture, which is fabulous, I think. And it came out in 2014, Elsevier, UK. And my partner, Michelangelo, and I are working on a sound book with Singing Dragon, UK, called Vibrational Acupuncture, Integrating Tuning Forks with Needles. Some eyebrows are going to raise on that one, but I think it's very important with patients who are very sensitive, who have been abused, or patients who are very afraid or needle phobic. It's a good way to work with the sound, with the hands, with the Tui Na. Why, there was a question here about why acupuncture? Well, I was living in Tokyo years ago, and I had Hahashi-san and Masunaga-san studied shiatsu with them previously, and I met a wonderful Japanese acupuncturist, and I thought, when I come back to the States and I'm not an expat anymore, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn this. This is amazing. So that's why acupuncture and why facial. I think because I'm, as I said, so connected to the expression of emotions and being a performer for many, many years, I've seen a lot of the idea of expressing oneself with the face. It's very, very, very important to become aware of what people are trying to telegraph to you, what they're trying to say to you, how they feel. What am I going to say? So why facial acupuncture? Because it is enlightening, it's transformative. I work with the whole body when I work with people. I do call it a constitutional approach. I enjoy working with people who have had other issues other than wanting to beautify the face or to lift and tone. I've worked with people who have been in accidents, motorcycle accidents, post-operative neuropathies, Bell's palsy. I'm sure we all do. So for me, one of the important things is to be able to work with acumuscle points, the motor points, the trigger points, the origin insertion, to be able to work with more serious issues as well. And when I teach my students, I always say, please know how to do everything. Become really good at this. Make sure you do ground the patient. I like to use the 8 extraordinaries and the postnatal chi and then work with the Wei Chi. But it's very important that facial acupuncturists know in my classes how to work with every syndrome that comes their way. Spirit points, kidney spirit points, emotional points are very important. And an article just came out in the, it used to be called this California Journal of Oriental Medicine, but now it's the acupuncture, I think it's Journal of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine. And they asked me, can you write about opioid addictions? And I actually thought, well, what can I contribute to this? And I thought, as a facial acupuncturist, we're dealing with Shen, we're dealing with spirit, Shen mind. And so I thought, well, why not contribute something that has to do with Shenocide, the death of the spirit, the death of the mind? Why are people attracted to this sort of thing? So journals are very important. I recommend people writing for journals, reaching out to others, going to Shelley's class. That's another thing I think is very important. Going to my seminars. I've created about 20 different seminars, and that includes the acupuncture and the sound. And I think one of my tidbits would be that in working with facial acupuncture, please know that this is a profound protocol. And as Shelley said, you see all the shifts and changes in the patients, in your students, and it radiates through the face, through the health and well-being of the entire body. And it also, in my private practice and teaching, I feel as if, as my patients or students become transformed, I also feel the effects of the transformation. I also feel the joy as they release their sorrow, release their anger, open up their face, are able to learn new techniques. It is a very powerful protocol. Tidbit-wise, I would recommend using a synergy of techniques, because usually about the 5th to the 7th treatment, facial acupuncture treatment, I found that the face is no longer, if you're using similar points, the face, nothing is shifting and changing, because the face in a microsystem has become used to the same needles. You need to change the needles, shift the needles. Maybe after you'd worked with that corrugator muscle, maybe they would want to work on their neck. It'd be time to do that. You also need to use other modalities. I use Tui Na, I use microcurrent, synergized laser, some gua sha. I know that Michelle does that. Only I use two gem discs, and I use 2 at a time with the gua sha. Each one of the gems are different for each person in each condition. Laser, anything that you can use that will shift that that question that they always ask. Nothing's happening. What's going on? Nothing's changing. People want to see change, and usually they want it right on their face. Often the change is happening from within. So synergizing the modalities, being aware of the transformative aspect of this modality, and I still, for all of us, I still see it is growing, and it's not new here in North America, but there is also a certain people who do not believe in what we're doing. They feel it is a superficial modality. I still get that sometimes from people around the world, especially the Germans and the Dutch. And it actually is really very, 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 and I'm preaching to the choir here, spiritual. It's a spiritual treatment, Shen mind. And we are nurturing people on their journey to their own transformation. And as I said, the privilege of working with students, working with patients, of being able to write articles, of creating books, of being in this field, it is so, what can I say? It evolves the person, it evolves the soul. I feel very blessed to be able to be a part of this. And I would like to stand up like Shelley with pom-poms and say, rah, rah, ba, boom, da. It is joyous. And it is, you think of the blessings and of talking with all of you who are incredible facial acupuncturists, and sharing this, and actually all giving our wisdom, all sharing our wisdom together is very important. So another thing I do teaching-wise is I do mentorships. Those are perhaps 4 to 6 people who come, and I literally work with them. We're doing some in sound right now in New York. I literally work with them hands-on. They get incredible attention from us, both Michelangelo and myself, and also with acupuncture. So I thank all of you. The people want to get a hold of me and have more questions. I can be reached online. My website is facial acupuncture facial acupuncture wakefieldtechnique.com, facial acupuncture wakefieldtechnique.com, and it's also chi.akra@gmail.com. And as I said, I thank you all, Virginia, Shelley, Michelle, for being able to work together here on this. What would you call this? Virginia, what do you call this? A webinar? Or?
Well, it's a Facebook Live event, but this is a special forum type event with
fantastic.
Just 1 or 2 guests. Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to thank you for doing this very much.
Well, we really want to thank Alan and Sharon for producing these shows, and the American Acupuncture Council for starting this whole thing and doing it so generously for the field. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you to them as well. Okay. Great. I guess that was about 10 minutes, yes? Yes. Or more.
I think you're there. So my name's Virginia Duran. I'm hosting this show for the American Acupuncture Council. And I've been a licensed acupuncturist since '95. And I've been teaching facial rejuvenation acupuncture since 1998. While I was in school, I took an interest to this, and I started doing extensive research on this subject and getting books translated from China, scouring the internet, reading dermatology books, anything I could to try to deepen my knowledge of it, because as soon as I got out of school, I started getting publicity and teaching offers on this. Now, I have to back up a little bit to tell you this funny story, how I got into this, because it wasn't anything I ever aspired to do. and I understand, some of the people who do have a bias against this. It can be approached in a superficial way, but I don't think anybody here on this panel is doing that. And I had this spiritual teacher who was extremely psychic. And in 1978, I was going to massage school, and I would go each week for a couple of years and do reflexology on her feet. And she would say, "Dear, you should be doing acupuncture facelifts." And I was, "Oh, I would never do that. That's so worldly and vain." And I really didn't study shiatsu till 79. I didn't understand how it would be more than a cosmetic cover-up. And how we could actually change the whole body through a microsystem as well as constitutional treatment. And so she would tell me a little bit more each week. She'd say, "You're going to teach this all over the world, dear." I said, "Oh, no way. Yes, people are going to come from all over the world to study with you. You're going to get all this publicity." All this happened without my trying. And she's long passed on, but they just go to a plane where they can meddle more efficiently. So I really was resistant of it, and I put it out of my mind, for about 17 years. And when I went to acupuncture school, I got out and I was trying to get my massage clients to try acupuncture. And they would say, "Oh, I don't have the time or the money for that. I'm afraid of needles." And I'd say, "Oh, but, we could help your back so much more. We could help your hormones or allergies or whatever else they might be presenting with." And people were like, "No, no, 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 no." So I would go through the World Health Organization list of things acupuncture can treat. Still, they were resistant. So then I said, "Well, this isn't on the list, but we can rejuvenate the face kind of like a mini facelift." Now, it's not a facelift, and it's not the right term for it, but all of a sudden they were interested. They would commit to a series. They would, like follow your lifestyle advice. I mean, all of a sudden they were keenly interested. So I learned that motivation that they have of fear of aging, maybe it's vanity, that might motivate them, but you could give them much more. You could give them a transformative experience. You could certainly improve their health dynamically. The fascia contains muscle memories and traumas, and so we're able to release that. In Rolfing, they make this claim, but it doesn't have to be Rolfing. Any kind of deep massage and acupuncture, and it's actually proven with acupuncture how it can do this. So we can really take off years of stress and habitual expressions. Maybe 20 years of grief somebody has on their face, or terrible anxiety and fear for whatever reason, as well as hostility held on the jaw. All sorts of things we can do. So my approach is, don't just capitalize on their vanity and insecurity, but treat it. So whether you do that with flower essences, some kind of psychospiritual acupuncture that 5-element, something from Jeffrey Ewan, whomever, Ted Kapchuk uses minute doses of Chinese herbs. It really doesn't matter, but you have to treat their self-esteem from the beginning, I believe, because otherwise they can't necessarily perceive the changes. So having said that, I also have an approach, because where some of this came from using empirical points that I came up with. Some was just intuitive, but it wasn't things that were written about or used before this. So I had no way to explain it. So I started looking into the anatomy very deeply and the physiology of an area, and I'm trying to explain what I'm doing in that way, because some of the times the points aren't even on meridians. Of course, some of them are, but some that you don't have those traditional explanations. And I think because it can sound like a flaky subject, I feel like one of my roles or missions is to explain what's actually happening, you know, in a Western medical context, so that it can be better accepted for people. And also patients, they want research. So I've, you know, come up with so much research, you know, that's going on around the world with these kind of treatments, as well as point-specific research that you can extrapolate, or things like wound healing research with acupuncture, of how this happens. What are the mechanisms behind it? I think that's really an important thing as people come to expect more and more of that evidence-based acupuncture. So her predictions came true, and she also said that I would be writing a book on this. So I've been writing it for 25 years, but I didn't want to just put out a list of points years ago. So I have people, even students of mine, that have published, but I'm trying to make it a real textbook that will go more in depth on the subject than anything I've seen out there. So I'm hoping to have that done in the next couple of years. But I think it's kind of a tribute. I never would have chosen this field, but when I embraced it, I could see how things flowed when you're aligned with your destiny. So I think one of the things that also I try to do is, because I have a hands-on approach as a massage therapist since 1979 and shiatsu therapist, but also studied a lot of energy work. So I'm very hands-on, energy based. I don't spend a lot of time on TCM theory with people because I figured they already know all that stuff, or they can go read it. I try to keep it more clinical tips and clinical practice. And, you know, a lot of what I teach is original. And one of the things that I would like to say is that there's, so far to my knowledge, and I have spoken to the AAC about this, there's no malpractice for any facial acupuncture adverse events. However, we want to keep it that way. So when the three of you studied with me, I was saying wait 10 days before needling locally when you know, if somebody's had Botox. But since then, I've spent a couple months of intense research on this, as well as fillers and peels and all these kind of things, because a lot of patients want to do them concurrently. You say, wait, you know, let's do this first and then see how you do. They want to do it all now. And if there was any incident, it'd be front page news. It would be blamed on the acupuncture, even though it's probably the dangerous procedure or substance that they're using. But for instance, with Botox, right? You know, a lot of people get shots every 3 months. You know, the manufacturers say it has 6 months of effect, but really the duration of effect can last longer. Some people metabolize things very quickly out of their bodies, some much slower. And there are incidences where they've tested and found people that it lasts for 9 months or more. So I would say, look at the nature of the substance, the mechanism of action, the duration of effect, and then probably double the duration of effect as the time to wait before doing any local needling, whether that's, you know, cosmetic purposes or anything, whether you're treating allergies and sinuses, whatever, paralysis on the face, whatever, because the things like Botox can migrate. And so we don't want to take a chance of there being any side effects from that. So I really want to thank all the guests and thank again to the American Acupuncture Council, and we'll see you next week with another show of To the Point. So thanks again.
Thank you.
And please be sure to share this and comment and post it and help Facebook to show us some love. Okay, thanks. Bye.